All right, welcome back to the Maturity Project. This channel is dedicated for people that are out to make some changes in their life and to experience more enriched moments and fulfillment. I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshears. Welcome and thank you for joining. For those that are actually up to it, welcome back and have been following. For those that are new to it, subscribe if you appreciate what we talk about today and or what I talk about today. And yeah, like, subscribe, leave comments, all that fun stuff. You know, the traditional things. It's always helpful. If you appreciate what you get out of it, that's always a good thing to give back in return a little bit. So today's conversation is really, you've got a lot that's in front of you that's potential and opportunities, but most of us are so stuck or fixed in the way that life has been happening for so long. The patterns of what it takes in order to hold that life together is consistent with what that life is demanding. Right? So you pay your bills, you go to work, you have whatever you have in your relationships, and you are where you are with your life. You designed this stuff and you got yourself there. When you go to make changes because you want to shift things, again, this channel is dedicated for the changing in life. It's dedicated for people that want to find more fulfillment in life. It's when you want to change your life, it takes effort, right? Because you have a foundation of things that hold you in place. That holding you in place is not a bad thing. It's stability. It's structure. You put it together. You learned this stuff. You got yourself here. Oh shit. Come on now, people. It's raining a little bit. I'm in my mobile office. So, people don't drive as well in Florida once it starts raining. Okay, anyway, you got yourself here. Don't hate the fact you have a good solid foundation, or you do have a structure and a foundation that keeps you someplace, right? It's a matter of, okay, if I'm going to make change, what behaviors do I have that have to shift or change in themselves in order for me to have a different outcome? Some of that stuff, when you start tinkering on making changes, that tinkering can turn into chaos. Because it depends on exactly where you are and the stability for where you're at. You may be on a house of cards. You're barely holding it together. And you might be pushed into thinking, I need to make change because I'm desperate because I don't want to continue to experience this in life. There are different phases and different reasons for change and the desire for change. So one of those things being, that you have the foundation that you have, and you want to experience more. You want to experience something different in life, right? Like vacations are associated with that, right? You take a vacation to break the norm, to get away, to relax, to kick your feet up, right? The majority of the time. But the greater reason for you, it's to give you a break from reality, right? So, but you pursue that and you have to do something in order to accommodate for that. When you go on vacation, you're going to square away work enough that you don't have to worry about work as much while you're gone. Preferably not to worry about work at all, so you can still be truly present if worrying about work is what you're doing. So you have those things going on. You'll also have the fact that, hey, if you're tired of being broke, you're going to be very motivated to make some changes. Now, what do those changes do to you, right? If you're tinkering a little bit, you might be able to have a high level of permissibility or a permissible element of value that you can make some changes and possibly have a different outcome. But you have enough of a controllable experiment if you have the allowance to do so. But most of us don't have any idea really what we're doing. We're just doing stuff, right? We're reacting to life versus creating the life that we want. Creating the life that we want takes effort, it takes attention, and it takes resource allocation. Resources are not just money. It's your time, it's your emotions, it's your the energy that you have. There's a lot of things that fall under resources. That's not an exhaustive list. It's just part of the list. So it's all of these different things that go into it that are something of your value systems, right? The things that you actually have to apply to something. Your time is there, your knowledge level, your emotions, your energy, the money that you have, the specialty of knowledge that you can apply someplace, your labor abilities, things like that. All that stuff all in. So if you're wanting to make change because you're desperate, and you're highly motivated because you're just tired of constantly having the negative, well, the beautiful thing about it is that you're highly motivated. The drawback is you don't know what that tinkering is going to do, especially if you're already in a desperate state. You may overinvest in change because you just don't have enough stability. You don't even realize your stability. You're so desperate. It could be that, you could be completely saturated with every resource necessary and you have plenty of time on your hands, but the emotional aspect about the change isn't really strong enough. You don't have enough motivation for change. There's a lot of different things, right, that just stop us from being able to accomplish it. So some of the things that came to mind for me is you already have your life where it is. You don't need to eradicate or wipe out parts of your existence in order to accommodate for something. Okay. So you don't need that. But what you do need is you do have to have an interest in change. And then what do you do with interest? You can do a lot of stuff, right? So what I was thinking about today in a way that helps people with the change is, specifically like relationships are pretty common and consistent because that's what most people put out on social media. And they talk about how they just aren't dating the kind of person they want to date, or, they're tired of being lonely or whatever, right? You got all these different things that people are putting out there on social media. By the way, if you were putting out your relationship challenges and issues on social media, stop. Stop. That's not helpful. It's not. No matter how much help is showing up, those people are not your counselor. They're not your therapist. People will act in their own interests. And a lot of times those interests aren't yours. Stop it. It's cathartic. Get your friends to chip in, not these people on social media. Keep your laundry off the internets. God damn. Anyway, so if you want to get into like a healthy, happy, long-lasting relationship, well, guess what? It is not a gift to be given to you. It's something you work on. So you have to understand exactly what's necessary to work on in order to accomplish that. If you don't know what validates your partner, you're probably going to have some problems, right? You're going to be looking at validating your partner through your own means, which, hey, it might work to some degree, but I'll tell you now, if it doesn't, it's not the way they like to receive things, you're going to have some challenges because they're not going to recognize your effort to the level that you put effort in, because when you put effort in, you got an expectation of return on investment, right? You want that person to acknowledge and to experience, right? You want them to first experience what you're giving them in that relationship so that you can get that joy and feeling that you've nurtured the relationship. You get the joy of knowing that they're experiencing you and loving the fact that you're giving them something like that you're making something special for them. And then you have the expectation of return of validation that you have indeed actually hit the mark. Common, standard, it happens. So there's your partner may have their way of expressing how they feel and the way that they express the way they want to show you that they love you. The book, The 5 Love Languages, excellent book for this. By all means, I highly suggest that you guys read it. So it's not one to just sit back and just hear these words and then all of a sudden you understand the definitions to it. There's a book for a reason. It's an excellent book and it's an easy read. And if you're interested in relationships, that book's going to be a high level of interest for you. You're going to have a lot of time you're sitting back going, oh, I didn't realize that. Or, oh, shit. Or, that makes sense. Like, there's all kinds of little epiphanies you're going to have by reading the book, not by going by the definition. Oh, these are categorically what these things are. There's a lot more to it, like touch. You probably should get a little bit more understanding of touch than to just think, okay, touch equals sex, right? There's a lot more to touch when it comes to relationships and how touch validates. So look into it, right? Words of affirmation. There's a lot of different ways to affirm your partner and the way that you speak to them. And it's good to understand the parameters and the category itself, and you're going to learn that more through the book. Quality time. Hey, guess what? Quality time, not the same for everybody. Some people, their quality time is sitting and watching their partner play video games. Other people, it's going through the meadows and playing together. Some, it's actually doing business work right? Balancing the family budget. You know, it's things like that, right? Quality time. Acts of service is another one. Yeah, there's a lot to that too. Because your acts of service and the person's expectation of what those acts of service are, if that is in fact one of their love languages, is really helpful, that you are hitting the marks and the person will constantly have that recognition of your effort. And also, or if that is your love language and that your partner is doing that for you. How do you communicate that stuff? Like, hey, I think I want you to do stuff for me. No, read the book. You will formulate thoughts and the way that you strategize that conversation with your partner in such a way that you can both fully understand it or better understand it. And you can practice understanding it more and more. Relationships, they absolutely take work. If you're shopping online for relationships using dating apps or your social medias as an opportunity to meet people, and you have such a habit built into that for relationships, you'll have an easy out when the current relationship starts to have problems. You'll have someplace else to get the attention or affection that you're craving, right? Validation. Oh, yeah, you look great. Look at you. Like that kind of stuff, right? Careful with it. No one, the people online are not invested in your relationship like the person that declared that they are your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife or whatever. They're looking for opportunities and escape. If you're looking for opportunities and escape, and they're looking for opportunities and escape, what do you think happens? Once you run into a challenge with that person that you're dating, they're going to do it again. So are you. It's more likely because you have a practice habit. You have a mental way of processing the world and reality, and you'll put the effort in to processing the world and reality in the way that you're familiar with doing it. You have success in that model. By the way, here's another thing. I'm going to add this on this for success. Success is fantastic. Here's the thing. We all want to be successful with the effort that we put in. The last thing we want is to be an absolute all-out failure. Here's something that you may not have thought about. You're okay with failing. You just don't want to be an absolute failure, because that hurts. That hurts the ego. That hurts, it hurts a lot of things. Keep that in mind. You're okay with failing. You just don't want to be an all-out failure. Also, you're probably not okay with being successful, because success actually is pretty fucking scary. Even though it's the thing of your affections, it's your desires, it's what you're constantly working towards. The reality is, you become very habit-formed, and the effort to become successful, not the reality of being successful. And it's something scary about getting there and losing it. Same applies for relationships, same applies for business, it applies for all of it. Yeah, that person had to get a little tink there. All right. So when you're dealing with trying to find success in specific actions, behaviors, and things like that, just understand that, yeah, you'll put some effort into some things. You want to be successful. The idea is to be as successful as absolutely possible, and that's the lottery winning or the big jackpot, right? That's the one you're really going to celebrate, probably even brag about, versus minor success. Everything is going to be pattern associated. Now, some things are going to be so new in a pattern or behavior that you're just not familiar with it, and it's going to look like luck. And sure, opportunity showing up and you have enough conditioning to grab it, because, by the way, right now, opportunity is all around you. Every freaking day, it's all around you. It just may not be the jackpot, but the opportunity that is around you leads you to the jackpot. You just can't see it. You don't understand how it lines up, how things work together, that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way we are as a species. It's how we function. So it's nothing to be upset about. Don't beat yourself up over it. No. Well, truly interesting how people like to drive in the rain. Anyway, you guys don't need me narrating the drive in my mobile studio here. But anyway, yeah. So success is all around us. It's a wheel of fortune. Prior to it being a game show, there's a reason for it, and that is the wheel is constantly turning around you. It's your skill sets and being able to take action on those opportunities. That's the catch, right? That's the real kicker. The more you do work to develop yourself, the more likely you are to run into the opportunities that you develop yourself for. That's it. It's pretty fucking simple that way. But most of us don't really look at life that way. We don't have the capacity to look at life that way because nobody's taught us that that's how you should look at life, or that's a way you can that's successful. Because you can start gauging your efforts, you can start gauging your own actions, and it gives you a better understanding of overall what it takes to be successful. You look at what you've done and you look for how successful it was, what you know about it, what you don't know about it, and then you put the effort into learning more and to become more practiced and polished in it. Just because you know something doesn't mean you're polished or practiced. If you've only applied it a couple of times. But it's really an undesirable position to know all about it but never have done anything at all, because that creates the opportunity for a trivial knowledge base that is going to likely reduce your activities, you taking action on something. And I know I do suggest act, because acting will always bring something out. So if you want a healthy, functioning relationship, you got to act. One, also, as I talked about in my previous video about fighting, people don't always fight with you, or you don't always fight with people. You are activating a defense mechanism that is protecting them, and the fight isn't with the person as much as it is the experience they've had in the past, and they're trying to protect themselves from now. And the fight might itself be a test to validate something about the relationship or the relationship as a whole. So when you're fighting with somebody, that might be it. That could be the reason why you're fighting. It's because you are getting to a place where a defense mechanism is present, and you were using the language like an incantation, right? Like a magical incantation that seals the fortress, the protective barrier that you built around that area. Then that language is what you're using. That's where the root of that logic system is coming from. You know, you don't care about me. You know, if you cared about me, I'd let you in here. That person may care about you more than you've ever realized, but you don't realize it, and you have testing procedures set up that have to take place on their way of overcoming the barrier. And that comes with the pushing the person away and giving something that would say, don't go there. Like a hurt animal that will bite you or fight you to try to get the hell away because you're going to hurt. It doesn't know you're not going to hurt it, but it doesn't know. Compassion's necessary to get past it, but guess what? Compassion without action doesn't do a whole lot either. You're like, I'm compassionate for you. Do something, man. Show it. Don't just say it. So in relationships, there's a list of things. I'm preparing a basic question guide for relationships to make it so that you can get closer to, things like soul bonding with somebody. But there's a lot of information that has to be discovered along the way. And time will always drop the facade that people put on in a relationship. It's just how long before the facade comes down. When you do this type of work and use this type of, basically it's a handbook, which just has questions in it. As you do that kind of work, you'll start to see where people, they break down in the way they have consistency in the way that they answer or the way they think, because you're lining up. If you're really trying to find out if the person legitimately is that person, because how many people, they treat dating like interviewing, like job interviewing. And I don't mean in the fact that they sit down and have this weird sterile conversation about accept me. No, as an employer, I can tell you how many times I've sat with people to hire them. People seem to practice more to how to interview than they do on actually doing the frickin' job. They're better in the interview than doing the work. They are good at interviewing. Well, in relationships, I am the ideal person to date. Well, you're going to be good at dating the person because they're good at it, right? That's what you're led to believe, because the person seems to be really good at dating. That's the beginning. That's the interview phase of the relationship. It's convincing you that they are the ideal person, and then therefore you're going to work that way. Well, what about all the qualifying values? Like, I've had to come up with qualifying values in the interview in itself to understand whether or not the person that is being interviewed is the most ideal candidate for my company's needs. I'm looking for specific resources to help grow my business, and I need that to be done accurately. not done in a way that just says, hey, I got somebody filling the seat because they said they can. You know, there's a lot that goes into it. So if you have this lineup of things, like the 5 love languages, that's in there. You know, it's just a question on which one of those are important and how are those things expressed. And, you know, do you express in this way? Or, you know, I'm not taking the education and owning that, by the way. I'm using it as part of the tool and helping people become more successful in their relationships and giving credit to them. Read the freaking book. It's a great book. There is the goals in life. You know, what kind of support do you need? What kind of affection do you need? What kind of relationship overall are you trying to have? And what kind of person are you having a relationship with? So there's a series of questions that go into that actually are helpful in breaking through some of this stuff. Because in the very beginning of every relationship, it's going to have that real fascinating honeymoon phase, right? If you click, then there's going to be a pretty decent amount of excitement to see each other, right? To put that time in with each other. So this will be helpful. You know, if you're interested in that, I can give you some of the stuff that I've worked on so far. The book's not complete at all, but I can definitely send over some of the questions and the structure that I currently have. If you send me an email at yourmaturityproject@gmail.com, that's YOUR maturityproject@gmail.com. Send that over. You can always tell me in the email, you know, which obviously I need to know what you're looking for because I have a couple of things that I've been sending out. Foundation of the Maturity Project, I can send you that, which is just the 8 different areas with a description of each one of them, so you can at least put the parameters on maturity. The other is the work in this in itself, right? The dating aspects and things like that. So, you know, there's a lot that I'm happy to help with because I'm dedicated to really support and create this into an education that really does transform people's lives, but does it on such a larger scale that we can change nations with it. So the more mature people are, the better off we all are. And that's the kind of life that I like to live, and that's the way that I'm living my life in the purpose. I did give a pretty heartfelt end of the video, the previous video that I have on this particular subject as far as purpose goes. The end gets a little emotional. There's a lot of tears in it. So if you haven't watched it, you want to see some ugly cry, watch that video. Very humanizing and very down to earth in that conversation. So at least that's the way that, I mean, when I see this, you know, people truly expressing themselves, I've always just loved it when people do it because it's just something so authentic about just being real with people. And we're so fucking full of people that don't want to be real with each other. So we've got enough of it. We really can do a lot better by becoming more real in this life. So anyway, send me over an email. I'll be happy to send it to you. And just let me know which one. And if you have anything in particular you want to tell me, anything that from the video so far that you've gotten out of this, or any kind of testimonials, or if you want to write a review or anything, by all means, you know, I'm happy to take it. But as far as this goes, guys, whatever life it is that you want, it's going to take work. It's not going to be given to you. It's not going to be handed to you. If you were to win the lottery today, you'll probably grow to resent it tomorrow. You know, not literally tomorrow, but, you know, give it time. In the future, you'll probably resent things. You'll find that relationships get ruined. You know, there's a lot of challenges that come along. So, like they say, be careful. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. There's a reason for that. And it's just be careful for what you're asking for because you will get it. It's just you don't know what the fuck is coming. You know, like even for myself, you know, I have recently realized that, look, big fish in a small pond, right? Well, when you get into a bigger pond, you start having some real interesting experiences that really open your eyes to some things that you did not realize prior. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you sometimes really could buckle up. And if you knew better, you would have buckled up. I would not take away that entry to this new stage of life. And I look at it like it's another stage. I've gone into another pond, right? I'm not the big fish in a small pond anymore. You know, I'm in a bigger pond. I'm not one of the big fish there. That's the way I look at it. Happy to be there. I don't know how much preparation would have actually done much because I needed the challenges that were coming with it. And I've got 3 of the biggest challenges you can face in life. The 4th one would be health. I've been dealing with that for a while, which I did talk about that in the previous video as well. And it's likely the condition I have will likely be the thing that takes my life. And I had a heartfelt moment with that yesterday, or in my previous video. It is not terminal, nothing like that. It's just a condition that increases the potential of cancer. Not happy about it. There's not a whole lot I can do about it yet. It's lifestyle stuff. I've been working on it as far as food, things like that, environment. Some interesting things, like when I went to Europe back in 2009, I came back and I was symptom-free for an entire month, and I did nothing different other than went on vacation, which that wasn't it. It wasn't the fact that I went on vacation. It was the fact that things are different there. Foods are cleaner, things like that. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I like the details, and I like to see what's different, why it's different, and come up with a better understanding of something. Because what we don't know is hurting us. Ignorance is not bliss. I know people argue that. Sure, if you want to be ignorant to something, then you may be blissful, but the bliss you have today might be borrowed contentment or satisfaction from tomorrow. I'm blissful today, but tomorrow I won't even be as satisfied or as content. Something will be missing because I borrowed it into today. Once I realize tomorrow what I'm ignorant to today that I'm all blissful about, tomorrow comes with the toll, right? The bill shows up. And you're like, holy shit, if I'd only known this was going on, I would have done something differently. So sure, if you want to call ignorance as bliss, it's only momentary. And if that's the way you want to look at things and you want to live in that world, then by all means, you can avoid things in your life and not actually take on the challenges that will make you grow. You're always going to get what you really need. It's just sometimes when it shows up, you don't understand it and you avoid it. That's why being relentless on taking on challenges is so incredibly beneficial. Like, I'm not shying away from anything. I'm going after it, and I will get it. So it's just, that's my work. Now, I'm not saying it to be arrogant, pompous. I'm not, like David Goggins, saying all kinds of radical about my fitness, stuff like that, although I appreciate the hell out of the guy. That's not me. I'm not that guy. I'm relentless towards taking on challenges, though. And I've questioned whether or not I'm the kind of guy that actually intentionally takes on challenges that really aren't necessary at the moment. Because I've taken on hardship that other people are like, why the hell are you doing that? I'm not sabotaging anything, by the way. That's not what I'm talking about. Just talking about, like, hey, if there's an opportunity for growth, I seem to put myself in a situation to grow. Because I'm addicted to it, obsessed with it. And I would love to be able to continue to give those lessons. So here we go. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and you yourself will be getting some insights from me about those challenges that I've taken on and I've grown through. Happy to share it, love to share it, because it also gives me a bigger perspective on what the benefits are of those lessons, because I only got the benefits from what was needed in my life. But the utility of those challenges are versatile beyond my own needs, because of how it works for you in your life and how those solutions can produce an outcome for you as well. So I've got a bit of a selfish reason for being so interested in growth. I bust my ass for growth. I love it. So yeah, with that, sweeter than yoo-hoo, baby. Let's get to work. All right, don't forget, again, subscribe to the channel. Put some comments in the comment section. That helps with the community aspect of maturity, the 8 areas of maturity. It helps show other people what you're getting out of this, even if it's nothing more than a thank you so much or whatever, right? I got this out of today's video, out of a previous video. I'm working on this, like stuff like that. That's all part of the community benefit, man. Let's get to that. All right, till next time, I'm your host, Chad Everett Brochures. This is the Maturity Project. The path to hell is paved with good intentions. Let's not make any more paths there. Let's work on ourselves. Let's work on maturity. We can do this. You are capable of so much more than you know. Fuck, I'm capable of so much more than I know, but I've got to continue to take off the history of things that I've convinced myself I'm not capable of. And now a lot of that stuff is not conscious. It's subconscious. So join me in that. All right, till next time, let's get to it. All right, see you.